Hello, hello, hello. I'm just checking to make sure we're actually live. You'd think by now I would have my phone ready. There we are. I'm like, I don't see you. Hello, everyone. I am here with my dear friend Rachel Vasquez. And as many of you guys realize, I put in like a little pre-frame of who she is and what she does and part of her extraordinary story. And we'll go in through a lot of that, Rachel. But I first foremost want to give you an opportunity to just say, hi to everyone and tell them where you're calling in from and a little bit about you.
I'm Rachel Vasquez, and I go by a grief warrior. I live right now currently in the Pacific Northwest, and it is beautiful here. We're celebrating in the United States Thanksgiving Day, and I thought this is such a perfect time to come on and meet with you and talk to anybody out there who is feeling this day. I really love to connect to people and share my visions and heart of love and joy and reinvention, recreation of you. And
Mm,
so through like the transitions and transformations that occur during grief. So that's kind of like my zone of genius and something that is so passionate and held so dear in my heart that I love to talk about it. Some say maybe a little too much, but hey, I love it. They're like, oh, come on, more grief talk. And I'm like, yeah, because it's so great. Because it's more than talking about sadness. It's talking about the joyous recreation of ourselves. And that
wow.
is always something to celebrate. So,
Absolutely. And I really love your perspective on that. And in order to understand where you came to that perspective, can we back up a little bit into your extraordinary story to a time where you didn't feel quite so um, the word that's trying to come out is seeing into the future that this anything good could come of what just happened. I know that life hasn't always been that place where you could see the through the rose-colored glasses, if you know what I mean.
mhm. I've always been like this. I used to say like a real optimist. So,
Mhm.
um, always trying to have that optimistic view, but also, realistic at the same time. And my husband and best friend of over 23 years, my ride or die, we had like the highest times in marriage and relationship, and then we had some really really rocky, hard times that we worked through. So when I say um, we grew stronger and we loved each other and we disliked each other. That is very, very true. I would nitpick at things that I feel now were like, God, really? I wrote his case for that. And then I also like, wait, I let him slide for that. So it's kind of like things that happen in real marriages that sometimes people are afraid to talk about the yuck and then always the celebration of the things that are positive. So my husband, father to my three children, and the bonus father to my oldest daughter, since she was very young, was killed in a motorcycle accident Saturday after Thanksgiving. It was we'd been doing like some Black Friday shopping, and going into Saturday, we had just had lunch. And he was going off one direction to head home, and I was going into the mall to pick up one of our daughters who was shopping with friends. And I didn't know at that moment that that would be the last time that the last meal that we would have shared together and the last time that we kissed each other goodbye and discussed our plans for the future that day over lunch. And he was hit on his motorcycle by a young driver under the age, also under the influence. And um and that day forever changed everything. And it also was not only the worst time emotionally, but the person that I was through that time was very detached from everything, from reality, from parenthood, from self, from source, from everything. And I wasn't like, why universe? I understood that it was a poor decision of a teenager, and the unlikely timing of that situation. There was not a blame; it was an accident. And also, what do I do now?
Mm.
And all the things that came with it, things that I had never expected, things that, I would have thought in the worst part of our marriage, like, that's it. I'm walking out the door and we're done. Um, was not ever any thought to it actually have it happening where we would be in a place that, getting a phone call from his father, saying, "Hey, have you heard from James?" And I said, "What do you mean? We just had lunch. we're getting ready to go. We're in the middle of moving into a house. We're getting ready to go move." And then getting the news to go to a hospital. The events that unfolded throughout that um, was so slow, it feels like, when I look back at it. And I felt like if time throughout that whole next year was warped into being fast and being slow, um, and having memory gaps all along the
Mm.
way, and filled with insomnia and drinking to sleep and eating to cope, um, a tremendous weight gain that I still am working through now, and a dependency on alcohol to get me through at night is what I was using as my crutch. And people who go through this type of trauma and stress tend to use different things, and I was using alcohol and food for
Yeah.
coping.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry, Rachel, that you have gone through that. Thank you so much for sharing that piece of your story with us so that we can really understand that woman, that version of you was an extraordinary woman. The one before that time, the time after that time, and the one that's here today with us. Every one of those is a different version of an extraordinary woman. Let us understand a little bit some of the extraordinary moves or the extraordinary decisions or actions you had to take to get out of that place and move to where you are today, where you are the grief warrior helping other women transcend and transition to the next part of their life.
It was a wild ride, I have to say, because where we came from in our home, um, in the West, it was no longer a fit for my family and I. And I made the decision at that time to leave the place that, most of my children were born, where I was born and raised, where I had so much family and people that I adored for years and years. And at the same time, everywhere I turned was like a reminder of the life that I will never have again. And I had to leave. So I packed up, we moved up to the Pacific Northwest, and we're getting a fresh start. And that was in September of 2019. And I get the kids into a new school and we start to adapt. I go back, I'm finding a new job, a new way of living a new life that I didn't want. So kind of kicking and screaming along the way and protesting every bit of it. And then we came into February of 2020. And up here in Washington State, where I live, my daughter's high school had the first the first they were blessed to have the first contact of the sickness that started kicked off across the or in the world.
Wow.
And so we sat home and I drank at night and I ate during the day. Hey, I found out about DoorDash and delivery. Everything was coming to the house. We didn't have to leave the house. And that was just fine with me. That was perfect because I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to hide and tell people via text and via phone, everything's great. You know, we're getting along. In the meantime, we were still going through some court things back in my home state with my husband's death. And there were like, you know, some legal matters that had to be obtained with a young person who was involved in the accident. So we were never allowed to move on.
Mm.
We were supposed to go up and show up, have a victim impact statement, come back. So that was really keeping me in that frame of never closing that door. And I had a really hard time. And the thing I never noticed was how hard of a time that my children were having, the struggles that they were going through, the pain that they were in. So I was throwing presence at it. And oh, you want Netflix? We'll get Netflix. We'll get Hulu. We'll get this. We'll get that. You know, oh, a video game station. This is great because now we're all here together on the couch, loving each other, and we don't have to look outside. And we don't have to think about what life is because we're in here and it's cozy and it's comfortable. And that's where we laid um, until it wasn't comfortable anymore.
Wow. Wow. You've taken us into a peak of what a horrible time in your life felt like. And again, I want to say thank you for letting us peek in of that and feeling where you were, because the Rachel that I know today, helping so many people in those same stages and recognizing not only are you helping the parent, the mom that's been left behind, but also the children. So you obviously now could relate to, I was going through all that, but so were my kids. And I missed that connection in between. Or maybe you just didn't have enough energy left in you to actually look and say, how can I help my kids? We know that in grief and in death, even if it would have been a grandparent that died and both you and your husband would have been there to support your children, it still would have been a huge transformation for them, or transition. So I hope that you have found the peace to give yourself grace that you weren't 100% there for your children, because you didn't have anybody 100% there for you either. So I just want to say compassionately, I see you and I feel that pain for you.
Thank you. It reminds me of like this bar. I was having a conversation with another widow, and that's the great thing about when you are supporting in support of one another, and your stories you can relate to each other. And the one thing is the bar that people set for you. So
Oh,
it's the get back out there, go back to normal, go back to church, go back to work, go back to school, get into counseling, all done and better, right? Boom, you're magically fixed. And the bar for us in our home was, did you brush your teeth today or this week? Did we get into a shower? Did we do things? Because there were weeks that I did not comb out my luscious locks and I just threw it up in a ponytail on my head. And that was okay until there was a big problem. And that's the thing about complicity and staying put in your stuckness. But our bars were low. So if we managed to do one thing in a day, I felt like we had really accomplished a lot, and we gave ourselves that grace. And we also didn't move forward very much um, until a day that I said, there can't be any more. There just, something has got to change and we need to create something different. And I want something more out of my life. So I'm kind of done doing this now.
yeah, it's that line in the sand moment. And obviously, your husband's death was one line in the sand, but then there was the line in your sand that you can't keep living this life. I said in the introduction that something along the lines of that you were literally dying inside, but the story you're telling right now is that so were your children. And so
Mhm.
this whole entire household couldn't even help each other with their energy level to master enough energy amongst all of you to rise up. It literally was this ball, and it feels very, very heavy, but I know that on the other side of that is another story and why you're so passionate about the work you do. So can you take us into how did you get out of this? What are the modalities that you use then and today and moving forward?
Oh my gosh. So this is where in my head, where I think of things in like movies and pictures and things like that. This is where my 27 dresses montage comes in, right? So I'm trying on the clothes because I wanted to do something different. And what was that? You know, and what do I do? And I was in such a low place that I just can liken it to being a puddle of sludge on the ground. And I needed to like gain some consistency and start building myself up. And I had tried a lot of different things. My spiritual connection, I felt, was gone. And I reached out to a friend, that a friend of my cousin, and I said, "Hey, I don't know what you do, and I'm open. I'm just in a place right now where I am open." And I said, "God, I am open to anything. I just need to feel something." And I just don't know where to begin. And I cannot express to you enough the transformation that happened over the next 7 days of having this energy work done with me
Wow.
and this conversation. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what energy work was. I didn't know what Reiki was. I didn't know what any of anything was. And the immediate movement that I felt, it was like having this storm, and then all of a sudden the sun comes out and there's a rainbow, and you're like, where did that come from? I thought it was supposed to be raining, the next, oh, I don't know, rest of my life. And there wasn't. And it was a bright sun ray coming through. And I wanted to know more and I wanted to learn more. And I dabbled in a lot of different things and found what was feeling good. And I was experiencing also companionship. I found Modern Widows Club. I went on to become an advocate for Modern Widows Club. I found you and some amazing community through like the Wellness Universe and on through Joyly, another organization that I do work with. And it was fantastic because I transformed right before my eyes in ways that I had never expected to do before. And
Wow.
it all started with getting to know me and daring to entertain the idea or the thought of, I wonder if this could be a thing. And meeting people who would hold that space. And here's the thing about grief, and when you lose someone in your life, other people who you surrounded yourself with since grade school, or your coworkers or your friends, they are your biggest cheerleaders, and they want to support you and love you and care about you. And they also don't understand you because you are no longer the same person that you ever were before. And they don't understand. So as you start to reach out and experience new things and open up perspective and start to learn a new way to be and a new way to exist, suddenly you're aligning with other people, new people who can share and encourage your new dreams and your new focus. And I was allowing that to lead my direction, and not share as much of my life with people who are very close and near and dear to my heart and that I love very much. And also they have a lot of fear for me, like, oh, be safe, go back, let's go back into corporate sales. You were good there, you made a good living there, you could do that. Don't be an author, don't talk on stages, that's too risky. And yet every part of my heart and being is like, I want to serve others who are experiencing these life changing, um, heart pained experiences that they're going through, and they're lost because I was lost. I didn't know what to do. And someone said, well, have you looked into like a widow group? And it was the first time in my life that I thought, oh, I am a widow. Like, I just thought, oh, I'm in grief, you know, James died, and it never connected that I was a widow. And
Wow.
that was very shocking.
Well, interesting enough, though, Rachel, as we often talk in personal development about identity and how you can often lose an identity and then you're in the middle before you've figured out who you really are to claim a new identity. As a widow, you were lost. I can feel that where the life went out of you and your family, everybody was lost.
Mhm.
Who am I? What does this mean now? What choices do I have? Where am I going? Where am I going to live? All those things. But then somebody says, have you ever joined a widow group? And you're like, oh, that's me. Now tell me a little bit about Modern Widows Club, because I believe that they not only helped support you, number one, you got to talk to people that actually understood, but there was also resources. And then tell us about you getting to speak on stage with them.
Oh, wow. That was such an amazing experience. And what it goes back to is like over a decade ago, the founder, Carolyn Moore, she she lost her husband in a car accident on Valentine's Day. And she had two very small children at home at the time. And same thing that I ran into, and all the other widows too, is that there were not resources to help through understanding what's happening. And she has dedicated her life in continuing and furthering research and creating like courses and really understanding. They have like this widow empowerment quiz that I took, and it was like the first time just answering the quiz in itself was like this light bulb moment that I am not alone, because if they're asking these questions, they already know these are the things that I'm experiencing, and they call it secondary losses. And so it's that loss of identity. You know, I suddenly was like, wait, do I like football and beer on Sundays every single season of football? I don't know that that's what I want to do. So then I go, oh, I'm going to drink wine and I'm going to do talons and smell it and find out why they spit it out. I don't know. I want to do it. And then I go, oh, I don't really care for wine that much. I like margaritas. Thank you very much. And it's like really that journey of self-discovery and that knowledge, and the place that an organization like Modern Widows Club provides is really that overall, not only support amongst widows, where widows can gather and really understand and share joyful experiences through understanding where one another's come from, but then also having their courses and things coming from a perspective of being built by a widow who's done so much research of, you know, the causes, the ailments that come with insomnia, and, you
Wow.
know, finances, and what it is like to have to maneuver all of these secondary losses. I mean, even the way you grocery shop. I no
Yeah.
longer buy these disgusting brownies that he used to like that were in these like little packages. Like, ugh. and, and yet the first time I was at the grocery store and I grabbed them and threw them in the cart, I was like, oh, I guess I don't need those anymore.
Oh,
And I took them out, and then I put them back in, and then I took but it's so that's one of the resources that I found to be inspiring. And then later I was invited to speak on the stage at a widows conference that we do annually. It's called it's the Widow Empowerment Event. What an honor to be able to stand up in front of my widow sisters, they call it wisters, and to talk about a chair of joy and to talk about identity and who we are, who we get to create ourselves to become again. You know, when we're little, you might think, I used to think I want to be a psychologist, which I thought in junior high, I thought, yeah, a psychologist. And then I thought, what a weird dream to have at junior high. But okay, but I really love that. In fact, in my junior high, like I organized kind of like a hotline for teenagers at that time in our school. And because I thought it was better for kids to be able to talk to kids than adults. And that was really cool. I was kind of ahead of my time back then for that, getting that thing done back in those days.
yeah.
And then also being able to recognize that there's so much power from the time I wanted to be a mermaid as a little kid. And to bring all of that love and that joy and excitement and curiosity for life and to entertain that as an adult again, I mean, why not? I Everything in my life has changed. I'm not a wife anymore. I My best friend, my partner, the person I talked to on the phone the whole entire time that I was driving to and from work, that was all gone. So what
Mm.
was I going to build up now? I don't know. So I could choose to be a shut-in and stay stuck, or I could choose to try out new things, like a
Yeah.
choose your own adventure book for
Yeah.
widows.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, I've told you before how I really love your sense of humor. And I mean, we also know that a lot of people have humor are actually also in pain. So I'm not here to say that Rachel is the most happy person in the world, has got it all figured out. And I don't know that. What I am here to say is if this is the first time that you're witnessing somebody talk about a deep topic of pain and death and dying and loss, and she's laughing and you're like, I don't get it, please understand that that is what I think is one of your greatest gifts, is that you can make death a real conversation. It isn't something you skirt around. Like
Mhm.
when you're sharing that about, like, I went grocery shopping and I put in his favorite brownies and then I took it out and then I thought, no, I don't need that. And then, oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Just you taking us into your stories like that. It's just like, well, number one, no wonder you're a speaker and an author, because that's an amazing ability you have to take us into your story. But I also, at that moment, you had me in that grocery cart. I was ready to have a breakdown because I remember being in a similar situation where something hit me in a grocery store and I literally melted to my knees. And we don't get to decide when grief hits us. And so you supporting women that have gone through this, or the children that have gone through this, and giving them that safe place to just be whatever they are at that moment. I want to celebrate you, because to me, that's the most extraordinary move. The Modern Widows Club, there's a group of people that have come together and they've created this organization, and I applaud them for that. I want to say that the dedication you have to your clients, to the children, to reinventing yourself, to supporting their dreams, to helping them dream again, to allowing them to be playful and laughing, and not in this what we think a widow should be. That to me is the biggest sense of freedom that you bring to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It has been an amazing journey. And one thing I can say for anybody out there who feels maybe guilty that they shouldn't have such an extraordinary life after the loss of someone that you care for so deeply is put that away right now, because they are here. It is their the sacrifice of their life, and the beautiful relationship that you had in the physical world, and the emotional and energetic support that still comes with it through, whether you believe that they're with you or not. I personally still believe he's here with me, and so that's my belief. And also the energetic life that exists through memories and experiences that were shared have shaped who I am now, and give me those experiences and love to move forward. I mean, to be a part of an extraordinary book that is coming out, actually, it's coming out this weekend, or December 3rd, but you can buy it on ebooks starting tomorrow, is called Being Brave. And that is 1 million. Oh my gosh. The extraordinary stories of 1 million, and the courage of 1 million women is the goal of hearing these stories about how we all have a story of being brave and being exceptional in our lives. And I am so excited to be a part of that as well, but really to connect with people and listen to their stories and their triumphs, or if they're in a place where they're like, I don't know yet where I want to go and I don't know how to get there, is for me to just sit and say, okay, well, when you want to go, let's go. And we don't have to always know the destination, right? I mean, my kids and I love to get in the car and go, all right, are we going to go left or right today? I don't know. And just
Yeah,
adventure.
just adventure. And you said that a few times now, where you got an opportunity to recreate a life that maybe is different than what the path you went down with your husband and your 4 children. And now this is a little bit more about Rachel. And I feel like that is something that, as even as a mother, as a wife, as a woman, that we can transition towards, is really allowing our own dreams to come to the front of the line, right? We
Mm-hmm.
often put other people first. And although, I mean, trust me, I understand being a good mom means you have to put your kids, they have to be very important to you. However, if you lose yourself in that identity, if you lose your own, like, you don't even know, do I like football? I don't know. That's crazy, but yet it happens. I think, like, if you guys are watching this and you can relate to that question, please let Rachel know that you can relate, because I can relate. I mean, I've been watching that for all these years. I didn't know I had a choice. I didn't know I didn't like it. I didn't know. So again, how can we rediscover what lights us up, what brings us joy, so that we can start to dream again and we can start to play again, and then we can start creating this beautiful life together with our children, with our new friends, with the adventures and the places that we will go. So tell me a little bit more about this book, because it is coming out tomorrow, but you're actually having a book launch on the 2nd, did you say?
The third. Yes.
The 3rd.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's so fascinating to me. I love it. Now, is this the first book that you have been in, Rachel?
It is. I've been a co-creator of a workbook that I've done, and so, but this is really about me telling one of my stories, and it taking them through the journey of me, and along with some extraordinary women that I am so blessed to have gotten to meet. Karen Ray, who is the facilitator of this book, she is the founder of a group up here in Washington State, but she is further out as well. She's her. It's called Fave, like the favorites, you know. So it's
Okay.
all about connection of brilliant women and our favorite things, our favorite jewelry, our favorite, you know, chiropractor, our favorite whoever it is.
Ah,
And she has just kind of like brought us together, and she wanted to do this passion project of hers, which was gathering this million stories. And this book that I'm in is me and 19 other women telling our courageous tales of being brave. And I think that that's so beautiful. And I also wanted to say I joined this visibility challenge, um, thinking I'm going to be really trying to get myself out there again and kind of like, you know, talk about my business, talk about what I do. And then I went radio silent for over a week and a half. And I looked at my thing and I'm like, oh gosh, there's 135 messages in this group. Close my phone, set it down. I'm like, I can't read that right now. I was working a lot, and also going through the fact that this is the weekend of my husband's accident, and then subsequently the week he was in the hospital, and then his celebration of life, and then it was Christmas. So this time of year is very tricky for our family. And I was really tired and exhausted, and I got sick, and then I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I'm supposed to be visible right now. This is a visibility challenge. And we had talked a little bit about invisible versus visibility. And what I realized is so many times it feels good to be invisible. I want to back into this cave, and I don't want to be seen because it's quiet and it's comfortable, and I can not have a shower, and I can just focus on whatever it is that I want to. And then you start to be like, I wonder what everybody else is doing. And you start to see some light outside. And then you come out, and then it's like, it's time to be visible again. And I see everyone. I see every single person out there, whether you're still inside your cave trying to tiptoe out, hiding in invisibility, um, wanting to test what it's like to come out into the light. I see you and I want you to come out here because it's beautiful. And it's okay to retreat sometimes because we all need that downtime. But to come out and be seen and feel that warmth of light and life into your skin and into your heart, and let that radiate out from you, is such an incredible feeling. And I really invite everyone to experience it because it is joy. It is joy.
Wow, Rachel, thank you so much for that. You really did take us through that. And what I hear you say, and it is so all of the ladies of the that are in the visibility challenge together, we all have our own version of what it means to be visible. But what you just said there is, to me, it's all beautiful. Permission to retreat and go into your shell, and permission to peek back out and be loved and accepted for exactly that. Like, to me, that is an extraordinary move right there. What you just did is admit that I joined a challenge to be more visible and then I went freaking hiding for 10 days. Like, we could beat ourselves up and we could tell ourselves we failed, and that can turn this whole downward spiral. Instead of the inner reflection that you did there and just spoke to us, wow, not only is that brave, but that's an extraordinary move that we're all here celebrating with you, because that's what we do here is we get to hear extraordinary stories, but we get to really celebrate the extraordinary actions and the decisions to actually show up even when it doesn't feel like I want to show up. I know that might be confusing to some people, and you might need to re-listen to this a couple times. You're talking about being visible, and then you celebrating her for not being visible. I'm celebrating her for being honest, that she actually retreated and then came back out in her own time and peeked and said, I'm still here, guys. I'm with you. How can I be part of the group again? That to me is just the most brave thing that anybody can ever do. And you know that we all love you. So we had your back no matter what.
Yes, that is um, one thing that I found in these communities, and you with your heart led visions have really shaped me over the years that of our friendship, and it has opened me up in ways to know that I am an incredible person just for being me, and that's flaws and it's all authentic and it's all loved. And I was saying to someone the other day, I sometimes I feel like the word authentic gets thrown around a lot in a lot of weird ways, and really at the heart and soul is that I feel, for me, I'm just transparent in ways that I want other people, it's not my awesomeness to come out here and talk about these dark times in my life. And there are times I hear other people's stories about their dark times and I feel not alone in that. And I'm like, I can relate because I felt that way. And that gives me the courage. And so if I can help anyone person that relates to what I'm saying and understands that feeling, and
Yeah.
and give them that strength to come up a little bit into the light, then that then I feel so extremely elated. I don't even know the words. There's none.
Well, we can feel it from you. Your passion to serve is huge. So, Rachel, how can we learn more about you? Where can we find you? And how can we buy this book?
So right now, I will be putting out a link as soon as it comes out for tomorrow morning, or actually for the ebooks. They're on sale for 99 cents. So I was like, I guess everybody's getting an ebook for Christmas. Why not? Stocking stuffers, 99 cents. There you go. And then also, Living Beyond Grief Now is my website. And I am actually creating a very small, intimate space for five, no more than five beautiful souls who want to work with me one on one. And they can reach out directly to me through living beyond, or contact at livingbeyondgrief.com.
Okay. Beautiful. I do believe that you also do some energy work and divine child healing and some other
I
stuff.
do.
You want to talk
Yes.
about that a little bit?
Yes. And that is also part of what I incorporate into when you work with me. We just kind of get a pulse for where you are, where you want to go. And energy work is a huge part of that. And I have been and certified through Divine Children's Healing. And Matilda, oh my gosh, she is the most amazing soul you'll ever meet. And and I have learned so much about the connection in with children and how to support their healings, and using energy work, and along with the other tools that I use through coaching and hypnotherapy. Those are a beautiful combination of ways to support people who are going through grief or any type of transition. And for the children, they don't I meet them exactly where they are and what it is that they're trying to do. And the beautiful piece of this work that had come out very recently is through working with the children and allowing and inviting play has awoken things in me and others to invite them to play and invite them as part of their reinvention of who they are, their self discovery of joy, of doing that from the place of a child, and
Woo.
imagine like a child and be like a child in creating, what would be so fun, running down the playground with your arms flailing around looking wild. Like, that is fun. So why can't everything in our life be so fun, and invite
Oh,
them in?
yes to that. I mean, my grandchildren have just brought out a new level of fun with me because they call you out on it if you're too serious. Like, let's go, jump off and roll in the snow and let's do this. And if I try to use an excuse like grandma's too old, I get told, no, you're not. You can do it. So you know what? I imagine a life where you talking about, the children bring this out and then we get to reinvent ourselves. I imagine retreats where we bring the children or the grandchildren and we do like an immersion together and we learn from each other. To me, that just sounds so spectacular.
Yes. And yes. And I love that because I love to bring my children when they were younger, and now even that they're in their late teens and they're still in high school and early college. And I love to bring them along, and also learning the flow of life. Yes, life isn't always like woohoo, party, joy, everything. However, how resilient we the exercise I feel like the exercise of joy and happiness and excitement helps us strengthen our resiliency, so that when things come in that are more challenging in our lives, we are better equipped to meet that with a resilient mindset and the ability to pivot. So my family had been looking forward to spending Thanksgiving with my mother, and someone was sick, so we are not getting together for that. And now we have pivoted and we're going to a restaurant on the water. And no, it's not what they wanted to do initially. And there was a little bit of groaning. And now there's new excitement for watching the water, being out at a restaurant and not having to clean up afterwards. And, so really just taking and extracting the positive things about doing something different instead. So.
Wow. And really, isn't that what life is about? If we just have our mind made up of what life is going to bring us and what we're going to look at, we're missing out on so much that's just there for us to explore and to just claim as our own. So have the most amazing day with your family, looking out over the water. I hope the whales jump. I don't know if that's a thing where you're at, but I hope that you have miraculous, just the biggest beautifulest aha moments. And thank you so much for coming in here and sharing your.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks everyone who watches this. I love you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.